Here's the answer to question 4F. So we want to solve this equation here. And what I notice is I've got a quadratic expression. And I've got a quadratic where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So that means there's a particular process that I need to go through. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take that coefficient of x squared, and I'm taking the constant, the number by itself, and I'm going to multiply that together. So 5 times -6 is -30. What I want to do now is I want to think about all the all the factors of -30. So think about all the different ways that I could multiply two numbers to get -30. So I could do 1 times -30, and that would give me -30. Or I could do -1 times +30. I could do 2 times -15, or -2 times +15. I could do 3 times -10, or -3 times +10. Can't do 4, but I could do 5, so again I could do 5 times -6, or -5 times +6. So these are all the list of factors. What I now need to do is I need to add these numbers together, and only one of these will add together to give me that -7 that I have in the original equation. So now if I do 1 plus -30, that's going to give me -29. -1 plus 30 will give me +29. 2 plus -15 will give me -13. -2 plus 15, +13. 3 plus -10 is -7. And now I've got that -7 that I have in my original equation. So that tells me that the two values that I want to use are 3 and -10. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave my 5x squared, leave the -6 equal to 0. And now that -7x, I'm going to expand that out. And I'm going to write that -7x as -10x plus 3x. Okay, so I'm just expanding that out. The next step of the process is to take the first two terms and factorise those. So when I do that, think 5x squared minus 10x, what do they both have in common? They've got a 5 in common and they've got an x in common. So if I take 5x out of 5x squared, I'm left with an x, because when I multiply that out, x times 5x will give me 5x squared. And again, take 5x out of the 10x, and that's going to give me 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next two pieces, 3x take away 6, and I'm going to factorise those pieces. So that's going to now give me 3x and -6, they've got a 3 in common. And if I take a 3 out of both of those, I'm left with x take away 2. Alright, what we can now notice is this bracket and this bracket are exactly the same. So I can now factorise that out. So I can take out x take away 2 as common to both this piece and this piece. Alright, so I'm taking that bracket out of those two pieces that's in common. And when I take that out, I need to think about, well, what am I left with? So if I take the 5x, the x minus 2 out of it, I'm left with a 5x there plus 3. So that's what I'm going to have here, is 5x plus 3. And now I've factorised that equation. But our instruction at the start tells us to solve the equation. So I'm not finished yet. What I now need to do is I need to solve it. So to remember to solve it, if I multiply anything by 0, I get an answer of 0. So in that case, either x take away 2 is equal to 0, because that would give me that first bracket as 0, times the second bracket, which would give me an answer of 0, or the second bracket could be equal to 0, because then that would mean something times 0 is equal to 0. So I just need to solve these. So if I have x minus 2 equals 0, take the minus 2 across to the other side and it becomes x equals 2. There's one solution. and I need to solve the second one, so 5x. I'm going to take the 3 to the other side, and that becomes minus 3. And then I need to get rid of the 5, so I'm going to get x equals negative 3 divided by 5, because dividing is the opposite of multiplying. And there is my second solution.